The Great Smokies. Nothing in my life had prepared me for the wonder of those mountains. Smoke blue and serene folded one behind the other. I counted 11 ranges rising up toward the vault of the sky. I didn't realize it then, but from the very first moment I saw them, the mountains were a source of peace and strength to me, always there to quiet my mind and satisfy my heart.
Tickets, please. Tickets.
I'd been protected at home. It's a wonder my parents let me go to the backwoods of Tennessee. But teaching in a mission school sounded so safe, and Miss Alice spoke at our church with such love of her Highlanders. I knew before the hymn was done that I would volunteer for Miss Alice Henderson's mission, and that my parents would be against it. But through all their pleas and arguments, I never wavered. Only the look of love in my mother's eyes as I was about to leave made my heart skip a beat. And the way my father held my hand while we waited for the train.
El Pano, next stop.
That train was my last link with home. Everything dear and familiar was disappearing over the horizon. Excuse me. My name is Christy Huddleston. I've come to teach school in Cutter Gap. I think they forgot to send someone to meet me, and I was just wondering if anybody here could help me.
Yonder's Ben Pentland. He carries mail up to the cove.
Thank you. Mr. Pentland? Mr. Pentland? Are you going to Cutter Gap anytime soon?
As soon as I get on my boots. Letters be piling up something fearful.
Could I rent a horse here? If you'd let me ride with you?
I ride in fine weather, surely. No critter could make it in this weather. They'd break the legs in the mud. Oh, got to take Shank's pony.
You walk? Well, it must be...
7 miles. It's a good 7 miles to Cutter Gap.
All right. I'd like to walk with you.
Nope. Too hard for a city gal.
Oh, no, you don't understand. I'm strong. Really, I am.
I'm sorry, miss. It just wouldn't be fitting for a woman to go along with the United States mail. Neither rain, nor snow, nor heat, nor gloom of night shall stay these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds. And no female will neither.
Oh, I won't interfere with the mail, I promise. I can get my trunks later. I won't slow you down one bit. But I have to get to Cutter Gap. They're expecting me. They're counting on me, please.
Women's skirts ain't the best for this.
I'm fine. Thank you, Mr. Pentland. How many families live around Cutter Gap?
Judgmatically, maybe about 50.
And they farm, don't they? What do they raise?
Youngins, mostly.
Do they all go to the mission school?
It depends. Might be different now with the new preacher. His name's Grantland. He's got a good wind in the pulpit, and he can tote a tune. And he ain't married. Hello! United States Mail!
You said the mail was piling up. You must have a lot to deliver.
5 more letters. Ain't it a wonder?
I tried to imagine a place where 6 letters were piled up mail.
There's a way that's shorter, but it's so up-tilted you can stand straight and bite the ground. Hello! Hello! Around here, our best warn folks you coming, and they liable to say howdy with a rifle gun.
That's wise.
Now wait! Miss Hudson! You all right? Get down! Get you got more sense! How you doing, Jeb? About like coming. Jeb Spencer, this here's Miss Huddleston, new teacher from over Asheville way.
Hello?
Ma'am, this here is my woman, and that's John.
These were the faces of the pioneers. By crossing the mountains, I had crossed into another time.
And the Leaston.
I'm pleased to meet you. Accident. Bob Allen. Her back. They're carrying him here. Oh, Lord.
Bob's her brother. She was Fairlight Allen before she married with Jeb.
Got Holcomb went straight for the dock. 2 boys shot each other up in Big Creek last night. John found me coming home. Stand aside, please.
It's Dr. McNeil, only doctor for 50 Mile.
He cut across Pebble Mountain. There's a big old poplar up there. Must have got wind throat. Thumped him right on the head. We was out hunting squirrels and the old hound dog nosed him out of the brush. 3 was still on him.
Bob was going to El Pano to fetch the new school teacher.
We best get him up into the cabin. Go. Give me a hand, Al.
He was coming for me. This accident happened because of me.
If it were an accident. There's a bad feuding around here between Taylors and Allens. Must be pretty bad they run for Bob's wife.
Be it a mortalizing wound?
I don't know, Mary, but I do know it's almost impossible for him to breathe.
Is he hurting?
He's not, for sure. He's in a coma, like a deep sleep, but it's getting deeper all the time. Listen to me now. When the tree fell on Bob, it made him bleed inside his skull. If I leave the bleeding there, Bob won't live. Now, there's one chance, and that's to bore a small hole in the skull to let the bad blood out. Now, I've never tried this operation. I've only seen it done by a professor of mine. And I won't lie to you, Mary, it's risky. He might die, but without it, he surely will.
I say no. Bob's my little brother, and I stand against it. You ain't a believer, Doc. Life and death is in the hands of the Lord, and we've no call to tamper with it.
No, Alt. We can't just let him go. We got 6 young'uns. Anything happened to Bob, I reckon we couldn't stand it. Try the operation. I want you to try.
All right, boil me some water. Confound your little scamp. Fair right, keep him away. I will have to boil these again.
Listen, go outside. Mama will be right there, okay? All right, children. Everybody outside. Come on.
If your close kin feel called on to stay, then stand back and no crying or wailing. That's fine, Mary. That should be helpful. Jeb, can you take care of Mary until this is all over? You there. I need help. It's ether. Hold it loosely over his mouth and nose.
The sickly smell of ether and the thought of what the doctor was about to do made me lightheaded.
Get out. No.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mug.
Mrs. Spencer didn't seem like a poor woman stuck at the back of beyond. She was a Highland princess who should have been wearing silks and satins.
Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring gets pressed, Mama's gonna buy you a looking glass. And if that looking glass...
I'll best take you on to the mission now. Operation's over.
It's over? Mr. Allen isn't.
Still breathing. Doc says he's got a fighting chance if the bleeding don't start up again.
Mr. Pentland? Why did Mrs. Allen swing that axe at Bob, and why did she tie a string around his wrist?
Well, the string was so's he'd stay by her no matter what. Axe was to cut the pain.
It wasn't till we'd almost reached the mission house that I realized the toll the day had taken. I fought against it, but I could feel tears of exhaustion in my eyes. Through a haze of fatigue, I saw a young man with a beautiful smile. And a strong hand reached out to welcome me.
David can build whatever he sets his hand to.
Miss Grantland, where is the school?
Same as the church. We can't afford two buildings where one would do.
It's very thrifty. School during the week and church on Sundays.
My brother's only been here a short while, but he has accomplished a great deal. He did most of the work himself. You can't count on the mountain men at all.
I'm sure he's done wonders. Both of you have.
He begged me to come and keep house for him. Said he couldn't get along without me.
Miss Grantland, I know a stranger just barging in must feel like a terrible disruption in your lives.
Miss Alice will want to talk to you, probably at the school.
Welcome.
It's so beautiful here. And yet the cabins I saw, I know these people are poor, but...
To the Highlander, God is stern and punishing. They believe he means life to be hard, full of sorrow. Often they overlook the joys of nature all around them. But about you, Miss Huddleston, why have you come to Cut a Gap?
To teach? You said that you were desperate for teachers and I had had a year and a semester of college.
But when I asked you that question before, do you remember what it was you said?
That I wanted my life to count for something more than just getting married and having babies.
The work of a home is love made visible. My father used to say, I have one duty as papa, to see that he has a happy childhood tucked under that jacket.
I do want to have a family someday. But my life in Asheville, the teas and receptions and dress fittings and gossip seemed so useless compared to teaching and making a difference in their lives and helping people. That sounds like I've read too much poetry.
Poetry has its uses, wondrous uses. But it cannot have prepared you for life here in Cut a Gap. These mountains are beautiful. They are also frightening, sometimes even deadly. You've seen it already. Miss Huddleston, are you certain you're strong enough for this task?
No. All I can do is try. I probably seem very young and innocent to you.
Very. You also seem determined and truthful. Those are important qualities. Teaching here will not be easy. It will be the hardest thing thee has ever tried. Hold on to joy. Joy is a great gift. Thee will need it.
That first day of school, I was terrified. But I tried hard to settle the butterflies in my stomach so that Mr. Grantland would think me an experienced teacher. Good morning, Mr. Grantland.
Well said. Hardly a tremor. Good morning. Shall we get started? And by the way, it's David. Steady! Whoa! Those ice-pick shoes aren't too practical.
I was just trying to look taller.
Well, there's no need to impress the children. They're very glad you're here.
They're not wearing shoes.
They're too poor.
I was ashamed. What tokens of vanity my shoes seem now.
Teacher, I've come to see you to swap howdies.
Miss Huddleston, this is little Burl Allen, one of Bob's sons.
I'm pleased to swap howdies with you, Burl. And I was happy to hear that your father's better. Grades, 6 classes a day. Even with David teaching math and Bible, how was I ever going to manage 72 lessons?
I'm coming pretty, ain't she?
You always get stuck on the teachers.
Looks good ginger for me. Reckon she'll have a studying fit for it all.
Heck no. She's too little to tan anyone's bridges. Sit down, boys. All of you take your seats. Miss Huddleston has come all the way from Asheville to be your teacher. She was persuaded by Miss Alice to undertake your education. And that's no small thing for somebody to do. It meant sacrificing time with her family, uprooting herself.
There were tiny ones as young as 5,
coming to a place she's
and
never
several
even
who looked
seen
older than
before.
I. Some were sleepy.
We're all very
I'd
grateful
find
to
out
her.
they'd gotten up before dawn to walk here.
And I
Many
know
had
you'll
faces
treat her
too
with the
old and
kindness
sober, like
and
the faces
respect
of old men and women.
she deserves.
Thank you, Mr. Grantland. You must have many important things to do, so I won't ask you to stay.
Are you sure? That's Lundy Taylor. There's a feud between the Taylors and the Allens. Lundy's never been to school with any of the Allen children before.
I'm sure we'll get along just fine. Thanks so much.
If you're sure.
nervous. How can you tell? Look at her shaking. She talks funny, too.
Sit up straight, Lundy Taylor. And please take your feet out of the aisle. Thank goodness for a familiar face. Ruby Mae Morrison did housework at the mission. Ruby Mae, could you please help me take the roll?
Yes'm. What's take the roll?
I need everyone's name and age, their parents' name, and their home address, where they live.
Ma'am, you just can't morally write that.
Of course you can. You watch me do a row and then you'll see. Name, please.
Front name be Sam Houston. Back name be Holcomb.
And what's your address, Sam?
Generally, go by Sam Houston, ma'am.
All right. I beg your pardon. Where do you live, Sam Houston?
Well,
an awful smell kept distracting me.
Branch,
I hoped it wasn't any of the children, but I didn't know what else it could be.
Best way. When you come to the fork in the trail, you just scoot under the fence.
Thank you. We'll get addresses later.
Just hogs, teacher. They live down there 'cause it's cool.
I see. It was an unconventional roll call, but I learned a great deal about the children that day. Odor Baller Teal, who insisted on his full name, and his small sister. And what's your name? Hush, please. Don't be afraid, you can tell me.
Ain't no use in asking her, teacher. She'd be Mountie O'Teal.
She don't talk, teacher.
Well, I'm sure you'll have plenty to say after we get to know each other.
Teacher, I worked these figures.
All of them?
Yes'm. Could you get me a harder book?
I'll surely try as 80.
Zachariah to over that hole. Plumb crazy, ain't your name tall?
All right. This is no time for fooling. We have a roll to take. Now, what's your name?
Zachariah to over that hole. Teacher, he be a packing lies. You can tell. Just look at his ear. All the hopes when they tell a whopper their ears twitch. Ma'am, I answered a creed hour. And that thar's Scallywag.
Might be a good name for you, too.
Sleeps with me every night. Oh, he be clean. Coons wash every natural blessed thing afore they eat it. They be the best pets.
Creed, we have to have a talk about Scallywag in school. You see, he is such a specially fine coon that I'm afraid the others will watch him and not do their lessons.
Man, no, teacher. We'll study on better than ever.
Well, let's make a pact. You leave Scallywag at home from now on, and I'll let you bring him to the last social, the big recitation before school closes. He'll be part of the entertainment. Everybody in the cove will see him.
Honest? That'd be a seal bargain. Put her there, teacher.
No notebooks, little paper of any kind, 5 textbooks, and those tattered with pages missing or torn.
Mushmouth Millie can't even speak. Jabber, jabber, jaybird, marbles in the beak.
Mountie, are you all right?
Has a pump knot on her head.
What happened? Did Mountie fall down? Someone has to tell me.
No, she got hit.
With this? No wonder she has a bump on her head. Who threw this? Of course Lundy wouldn't admit to throwing the rock, and that's just one problem. I haven't been able to divide the school into grades because I have to seat each grade together regardless of sex, but each child keeps telling me over and over.
No, ma'am. I can't sit next to no boy. This ain't no courting school. My pa will take me out if you make it a courting school.
Exactly.
Stand firm. Grades together. They'll get used to it.
And where do I begin to correct English? Sometimes their grammar is awful, but I would hate to lose the traditional way they speak. And why do they insist on being taught Latin when they just need the most basic subjects?
Because they're what they call long-headed. Stubborn Scots and equally flinty Irish and German.
Some of the children have trouble concentrating. I think it's because they're hungry. And they have bad vision.
They didn't tell you that. They're much too proud.
No, they didn't tell me that. But their eyes are bloodshot and they shield them from the light. And then there are the pigs.
Farmers round here let their pigs wander free to fatten up on what they can find.
Well, they don't help my teaching efforts one bit. Twice today, they nearly drowned me out.
It isn't in the curriculum at Teachers College. The solution is speak up.
Miss Alice, I don't know what to do about Lundy. David said there's a feud. Is that why he wanted to hurt Mountie?
Probably not. The Taylors and the O'Teals are generally friendly.
Then he did it out of pure spite?
And as a challenge to you.
I couldn't stop thinking about Mountie O'Teal. I felt so sorry for her. She couldn't talk except for pathetic grunts, and the older boys teased her unmercifully. Mountie never smiled or laughed. What must her home be like? Hello, Mountie. How are you?
Mom! Mom! Come quick! Mom! It's teacher! Mom! Mom! Mom!
What you squawking for?
What can I do for you?
Mrs. O'Teal? I'm Christy Huddleston, the new teacher. I came here to talk to you.
Wait, I swan. Wait, come on. Come on in. Come on. Come on in.
The stench was overwhelming.
Sit.
I was glad Mrs. O'Teal had left the door open.
So, tell me, how's my young'uns doing in school?
Well, I came to ask you about Mountie. Why doesn't she talk?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I ain't got time to study on it much, neither. What with the young'uns to feed and care for, and then I got the place to tend to.
Isn't there a Mr. O'Teal?
Oh, he comes around. But he don't want no fussing over gals. Oh, he wouldn't like your being here visiting. No, ma'am.
But don't you want Mountie to talk?
I do. But I reckon if the Lord wants her to, she will.
I was just thinking that maybe there's something we could do to help her.
A man wouldn't like it. Ma'am, I told you he don't take to no fussing over gals. But he ain't here right now. We could just go on sitting and visiting.
Mrs. O'Teal.
But we gotta let the Lord take care of Monty.
I don't belong here. I'm going home. I'm sorry about the children, but it's no use.
Perhaps it's just as well this happened. Now you can decide to stay or go based on the truth. How life really is here.
Is life what I saw at the O'Teals? The pain in Mounty's eyes?
Every bit of human life has a dark side. We Quakers believe in seeking the light within. The light is that of God. Those called to serve act fearlessly according to the light. But it won't come to you unless you open your eyes to the grief and pain all around you.
I'm not so sure I understand, but I want to.
Christy Huddleston, who are you?
I wish I knew.
All right, then, here's a question to sleep on. Were you meant to come here to serve and to work? Or are you only running away from home?
What Miss Alice had said stuck to me like a burr. I didn't want to be a quitter. And I had so much to learn. Where else would I find a teacher like Miss Alice? Dear God, when I came here, maybe I was partly running off from home for fun and adventure. But I think you had something else in mind. What I'm trying to say is, if you can use me in this cove, well, here I am. Attention to them, Mountie. I think you're really smart. I know you can learn. And I am meant to teach you.
I'm about ready.
To understand my children better, I assigned a theme. What do I want to do when I grow up?
When I grow up, I want to have a lot of shoes. 2, 3 pairs even. And I want a fine house with pans to cook in and a rug on the floor to sink my toes in.
Sometimes I get lonesome. I want to tell my thoughts, my good thoughts on the inside, to somebody without being laughed at. It would pleasure me to know the right way to put things down on paper for other folks, too.
I want to smell nice,
have lots of pretty clothes. Like teacher.
I want to go far away from home. Across the mountains to the flatlands. Get me a fine job with plenty to eat.
Thought at your question about growing up. See, I discussed being a slick-faced boy and want to be a man now. I would be proud for a woman like you to claim me for her fella. Because when I set eyes on your hair and your pretty clothes that fit so neat, I cannot think about my booklet.
That will do, Lundy. Write it over, and this time do the assignment.
Done.
Your spelling's atrocious. But the composition is better. You could do well in school if you tried a little harder, Lundy. All right, now go eat your lunch.
I ain't got none. Mushmouth.
Lundy! Come in, Mountie. Do you want to see me about something? Would you like to come sit with me? She tugged at my heart. Her hopeless coat had just one button. More than anything, I wanted to make Mountie smile. I suddenly realized how starved for affection she must be. I'm glad you're here. There's a book I wanted to show you. Do you know your alphabet? Well, how about I say it first, and then you try. Okay. A. B. C.